Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamu alaikum, boys and girls. Welcome once again to the most edutainment podcast that streams live on YouTube and live on Periscope every Tuesday at 9 o'clock, although tonight it's 9:15, because technology makes our lives easier. Yay! Ladies and gentlemen, we are here this evening once again to help educate and edutain for all of your needs and questions and wonders. That's why we're here, to answer the wonders of the world, because we're wonderful people, so we answer the wonders of the world. I don't know, that sounded really bad. So I'm going to stop talking. Ladies and gentlemen, the hardest working imam that I know, Imam Azhar.
Assalamu alaikum and good evening to all our listeners around the world. We thank you for joining us once again for an edutainment episode of Raw Islam, which is now beyond the 100th episode. We are now in the hundreds, and alhamdulillah, we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this blessing to allow us to engage with you, the listeners, and for you all to have an opportunity to engage with us, the hosts of this show, on topics of discussion that we deem are necessary for our society. And the reason that we believe a podcast is the right way to go through as we live stream it on Periscope and on YouTube is because conversation is pinnacle for change. Many a times we feel that our ideas, our ideals, our ideology, our thoughts, our concerns may not fit the message of the masses and the movement of the masses, when in reality it's just a whole bunch of us who are silent to this reality, and thus we succumb to what becomes the norms of society. So we're here to amplify your voices, to talk about what you think should be spoken about. We bring an Islamic twist to it only because we want you to understand that as a Muslim myself and a Muslim as Brother Carl, our religion does give us solutions for the predicaments of the past, the predicaments of the present time, and of course the predicaments that are to come in the future. So without further ado, I want to ask our dear brother and host Carl tonight to tell us that there was a poll on Twitter, which happens on a weekly basis on a Monday, and in it you, the listener, have an opportunity through the Venn network to tell us what you want to speak about. So Carl, tell us, what were the options this week and what did our listeners select?
Before I get too far in, hello, Sunshine. I can see you in the comments. Please comment back and let me know that you heard this so that I know that we are completely functioning the way we should be. I have clicked all the appropriate buttons, so if it's not working, I just may have to burn the entire computer because I don't know why. But with that being said, yes, ladies and gentlemen, you can follow us on Twitter at Venn Network, VENNNETWORK, where every Monday we post a poll where you, our fans, you, our listeners, you, our followers, get to vote on what topic we will be talking about on Tuesday evening. Because we're here to engage in a conversation with you guys, and so we want to know what you want to talk about, because we only want to talk about what interests you, our family, our friends, our followers, our whatever, blah, blah, blah. It's really late and I'm tired, so let's get right to the point. Our poll this week was and on a map, what's the deal with hate? And, of course, my all-time favorite and usual choice, what's the deal with? And you guys voted, and our winner this week, as you can see on your screens, maybe, because I can see that the stream just dipped again, is what's the deal with hate? Now, I put this in particular choice in the poll because if nobody was following the news, there seems to be a lot of unbridled hate that seems to be running around for no apparent reason. In particularly, I think it was Sunday, maybe Monday, but it was Monday, yes. There were a bunch of people running around my state capital wearing flak jackets and carrying machine guns for some very odd reason. And I don't know why they were doing this. And there seems to be a lot of people that are just very angry about a lot of things. And they seem to be spewing their hate all over everybody. And I don't get it. I don't understand. Maybe it's because I was raised differently. Maybe it's because my parents taught me to see things differently. But I wasn't raised to have this much hate towards somebody else because they looked different, or because they thought different, or because they talked different, or because they believed different. It's just not how I was raised. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I will turn it over to our illustrious Imam Azhar.
Carl, thank you so much. And thank you to our listeners. Welcome, Sunshine, and everyone else who's listening tonight. I have to say this because that's what I believe. And I believe that hate is a manifestation in the absence of faith. And now you may say that while faith is alive and kicking in our world, and my question is, well, my response would be a question, and that is, what kind of faith? Let me explain this. Many months ago, actually many years ago, I was asked by a student at a university where I was lecturing, what did religion give to the world? And my answer, after a lot of thinking, was morality and good morals. And she stated that our world already had morals by default. And my answer to her was, as we see a decline in religious engagement, we see an increase in immorality and the lack of morals and ethics in our midst. Religion may still have its institutions. Religion may still have its pulpits and mimbers and prayer halls and sanctuaries and whatever they may call it in their respective faiths. But the essence of all religions, in my personal opinion, and that's not just something I'm shooting out, but it's something I've been observing for quite a while. The religion that's supposed to be professed, proclaimed, practiced, and propagated is not the religion that was sent to the people itself. Religion has become a business. It's been monetized. It's been politicized. It's been used as a tool to spew hatred. It's been used as a tool to make wedges in our humanity, in our creation, in our nation, in our world. Religious hatred is a result of what's happening in India. Religious hatred is the result of what's happening also in America. We have to be real to ourselves. And as I said in the beginning tonight, that this is a platform where we want you to express yourselves. We are not calling for violence. We're not perpetrating any crime. We're not spewing hatred. But we're talking about really what's on our minds and hearts when it comes to these issues. And again, I firmly believe that it is the manipulation of religion while the decline of the truth of that religion that has resulted in the world that we see today. And I'll continue to believe that until or unless someone proves to me otherwise. So again, what is with this hate? The people who are holding their machine guns or their AK-47s and they're marching with their hatred flags profess a faith. And they use statements that are founded in their faithful teachings of their preachers and pastors and rabbis and imams. So we have to become real when it comes to this. And my only thought is it's only in recovering and retrieving and rescuing our faith from its hijacked state will we be able to confront hatred in its kind. Because remember, hatred isn't being actively taught on a TV screen or in a classroom. It is a manifestation of values that are incorporated in a home, in a family, in a community, in a setting. And for every person, there is somewhere where they hang out. And there's always someone that they listen to or they resort to or that they feel has a legitimate voice. So hatred is being taught on the grassroots level, and its manifestation is happening on TVs. Its manifestation is happening in the different mediums that we use to gain information. So Carl, I'm going to start this discussion with what I just said. And I would love to hear from people who don't agree with me, and also from people who may agree with me, or people who have a thought of their own. We really need to talk about what's up with all this hatred. Again, it's the lack of those values that religion once taught, and those religions are not teaching anymore, which has resulted in hatred becoming so easily adaptable and for people to adopt it in the world we live in today. Carl, what's your thoughts on that?
Are you saying they should put
Be taken out of schools. I am. You know why? Because when you, I'm an advocate that prayer should be taken out of schools. I am. You know why? Because when you give that string, you give that rope, we extend that olive branch. The only result that comes from it is what we're seeing in our world today. Because realistically, even for our Muslim students, you could go and do your prayer because it's your time. I understand that. And if there's someone from the Christian faith or Jewish faith that has to go pray, they could go pray. But it doesn't have to become a public thing, an endorsed thing, a legitimized thing, something that we have to talk about. It's your personal thing. You're in recess, you're in lunch break, or you take some time off for 10 minutes from your class, you go do your thing and you come back. But this is exactly what's causing this confusion in the new generation, not understanding where the previous generation came from. It's just a mess. To me, it's a mess, but go ahead.
No, that was just a very. I was not expecting that reply from you because, I mean, really, the other thought I had while you were talking was wasn't it Jesus in the Bible said, "Bring me your." No, that's
your poor, your weak.
No, that's the Statue of Liberty, isn't it?
That's the Statue of Liberty, yes. Yeah.
But there is something about Jesus in the Bible saying something about care for the traveler or the weak or something. I know it's in there. I just can't remember the exact how it's worded. But the reason I cite that is because it's funny to have these professed Christians running around going, I'm a Christian, I believe in Jesus, I believe in Jesus, I believe in Jesus. But when you have Syrians that are dying at the hands of, government issues or insurgents or whatever you want to call it, the flip side is, well, yeah, you can't come here though. And it's like, well, aren't we supposed to help those that are in need? Aren't we supposed to help those that are, help those that are in need, help those that are that have less than us, help the less fortunate. And it is odd to me how, and I don't want to offend the entire universe, so I'm going to narrow this down, and I'm going to say it's odd to me how what seems to be a lot of Christians in America, especially those that have a microphone or have a platform or have a bully pulpit, they're the ones that are the loudest going, no, the refugees can't come here. What if they're terrorists? And it's like, yeah, but aren't you supposed to break the bread and feed the multitudes, but only if they look like you and they speak like you and come where you come from? I don't understand. And so there is that preacher versus reality versus what's written. And it's Islam, well, not Islam, but Muslims have the same problem. Because what's in the hadith, what's in the Quran, it's a lot of times it gets infused with this culture of, well, this is the way we've always done things. This is the way my mother did things. This is the way I'm going to do things. And it's like, yeah, but that's not what's written. That's not how it's supposed to be done. That's not Islamic. That's cultural. And it goes back to what you were saying, because now you've got a young generation coming up in America who's seeing this. These Christians go, we're not going to help those people because they're different from us. They're brown. We don't help brown people. And it's like, but this, and I know this is like really like childish on my part, but I really don't like paintings of Jesus that are white, blonde, blue-eyed, because that's not how he looked. And so when people say we're going to help people that look like Jesus, and it's like, yeah, no, see, you're doing the exact opposite of that. So I mean, that's kind of where I am, is that duality that, and it's, again, it's not particular to Christians, but you know, if you're going to be on TV shouting really loud, maybe you should read what you are supposed to be shouting about before you start shouting about it.
I agree. Well, again, and that's, again, all religions here. Not a single religion is, there's not a single religion that's absolved from this discussion tonight. But Carl, our listeners, what are their thoughts on this? Have we heard anything from our listeners as of yet, as they are processing these words? Because realistically, there's no other way, in my understanding, to put it, unless someone has a different idea. I don't know if you watched that video of there's some protests recently. I think it was up in Washington, and these people were from Black Lives Matter, and they were walking into this protest that was pro-Trump, and everyone was booing them and telling them to get out of the country and go back to their country, not realizing the Europeans who brought the Africans into this country for the first place, and they made them into slaves and made them work, and now they're saying back to your country, and you know, you're taking our benefits and you don't work. But who built this country? That's a question another day. But when they got towards the stage, it was actually a setup that one of the MCs actually wanted them to come up and speak. And he said that you may not agree with their message, but you have to agree that they have a voice. And that was really powerful. And then one of them spoke about how he is an American. So now, as they were walking towards this stage, it was quite a lengthy walk. You could see that they're being booed, they're being ill-spoken of. But as soon as he gets, quite a lengthy walk, you could see that they're being booed, they're being ill-spoken of. But as soon as he gets on the stage and he's told, he says, I'm an American, after being given legitimacy by the MC himself, everyone's cheering for them. This is how foolish of a society we become, that our emotions go with the waves of the people who say something to us. Imagine if the MC and even the president himself said a few days ago in the farmers, he was in an economic forum, he talked about farmers and how his approval rate in the farmers is 83%. He said, who are the other 17%? Let them be known. He's like, no, don't expose yourself, because something bad could happen to you. Like, if a person is, we're actually robots being told what to do, what not to do, what to believe, what not to believe. And the cherry on this cake is religion. The cherry on the cake is the name religion. And hey, you know what? God endorses this. And you'll be told, you'll ask, like, how did God endorse this? And the answer would be simple. Well, God didn't say you can't do it. It's like God's voice is not something you could hear. And I'm a person who could say, I speak to God, and I'm telling you the message of God, so take my word for it. That's the world we're living in, Carl. It's a messed up world. It's a messed up structure of society. And if you cannot acknowledge and identify from the truth on social media, that in itself is an alarm for you to realize that you've already been manipulated. But Carl, yes, our listeners, what are they saying?
So I owe all of our listeners just a touch of an apology, because I was monitoring on my phone and I see the audio and video is very good, but the feed wasn't refreshing. So I happened to switch screens while you were talking, and there's a whole conversation going on that we completely missed.
Oh, please, let's get to that.
So let me fill you in. So Sunshine said, I think religion gives a general code to live by and an end game with a reward for living by that code, but it's been twisted. I think the hate comes from the fear of those beliefs being challenged, of of their standing being challenged. I agree that there should not be a formal prayer in school. And she said the same thing. She wasn't expecting that reply from you about prayer in school either. And there's Sister Layla. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Layla. And Sunshine, thank you for commenting and replying. I just, for whatever reason, the feed didn't refresh on my phone, but that's okay. Sister Layla says that she begs to differ a little bit. She feels that morals and ethics do not stem from faith only. There are kind people who are not religious at all. And I was told that my opinion is not childish by Sunshine. Thank you. Yeah, no, you're right, Sunshine. It is. There's a lot of hypocrites, and that's really is part of the problem. And Sister Layla also said, faith can play a part in someone's character, but not entirely. I feel it has to do with how a person is raised, the morals and values they've been instilled with. Sister Layla says she believes hate is a taught thing. And that's the entire conversation that we missed.
And sorry for that to our listeners, but just to respond to one of them, and again, I'm not going to respond because I don't agree, but the fact is that Sister Layla said that she doesn't believe that faith is the root behind good character and morals. There's a lot of people in the world that have good morals and character, and I do agree with that. But when you look back to those days where there was good morals and character in the 80s, for example, or the early 90s, people were taught those things and those values through their faith systems and their faith-based homes. And nowadays, we're being taught the total opposite through a manipulated faith system and a compromised religious leaders. So the point is that if we were to remove faith, right? If we were to remove faith, where can we identify that morals and good character has stemmed from? I could take you all the way back to Adam alayhi salam and the angels, where Allah had actually challenged the angels when they doubted that this humankind will be able to take care of this earth. Allah asked the angels in a test, what are these things on the earth? And the angels were scratching their heads basically. And Allah asked Adam, and Adam, peace be upon him, answered because Allah had taught him the names of everything, because it was essential for a human being to acknowledge what things were, its purpose, so he can start the world off on a right footing. Not only did Adam alayhi salam start the humanity off on a right footing of identification of things in this world and their usage and their benefits and their harms, but then through Noah, the second prophet who came after him and known as the second Adam because of the flood, he embedded within those teachings moral character. So moral teachings go back to Noah, Prophet Noah. And so faith, and whichever faith has stemmed from that directly or indirectly, is the seed behind good character. Before that, there was no existence of faith-based teachings, and there was no existence of moral teachings. That's why I'm saying those two are intertwined. And I thank you for your suggestion or your opinion. It's perfectly fine for us to have those beliefs. But as we're talking about faith in itself with Sister Sunshine and them, I just want to leave behind a question. What is faith? And I want us all to think about that tonight. What is faith? Because a lot of us, if we were to sit down in a circle and write our explanation of what is faith, I am confident that more than half of us will see a lot of difference in people's interpretation of faith. And so it's not even a topic that we can hold anymore. Faith had a meaning to it. Now faith has become so distorted, and so many different meanings and shapes and forms of it has become. When a person says they hate faith, or that they don't believe in a faith, or that they are committed to a faith, each one of these three are speaking from a different vantage point. And so I said it the other day in a class that there's kids leaving Islam, and you know what? I don't blame them. because it's not Islam that they are leaving because it wasn't introduced to them in the first place. What they're leaving is a misinterpreted, twisted ideology with the cover of Islam that they just couldn't gel with and they had to run from it. So the question then becomes, do we ostracize those kids for their decisions, or do we ostracize ourselves for how we presented something which was supposed to be so perfect in its own way? Back to you, Carl.
Okay, so Sunshine says that she cannot see Sister Layla's comments, which is okay. But she does say that she agrees that there can be people of good morals without organized religion. Austin the Kangaroo says hello. So, hello, Austin. Thank you for joining us. And Sunshine also said that while she was raised in a religious household, her daughter was not, and her moral code is far more solid than hers was at that age. And she also goes on to say that faith to me is a belief in things unseen. Belief systems are what's different in my opinion. So I think she's right. You're going in and you're differentiating between faith and faith and belief in a higher power versus organized religion, let's be honest, between talking about Trump supporters and culture being fused into Islam, that's kind of where the issue comes from. Is you're talking about an organized religion that has been taken off the rails.
Taken off the rails. And you know what? Why your daughter has better characters, because you embedded it and you gave it to her. She inherited it from you. It's amazing how this system, it's like Imran and his wife giving birth to a girl named Mary, and Mary giving birth to a boy named Jesus. It's amazing how it continues to multiply and strengthen itself. Right now, our generation is kind of lost, and we're worried about them. Beyond faith being a belief in an unseen power, faith is also trusting and adopting and accepting the word of that unseen power. And if you look in the Bible, you look in the Quran, you look in the Torah, you look in the Gita, you look in all the books, it talks about the love, it talks about the acceptance, it talks about the respect, it talks about patience, it talks about overlooking. It's everything is in there, and it's all similar. Why? Because the essence of the religions, may they be Abrahamic or those that stemmed from goodness. And it was because all have within it goodness. And it was because of that goodness being a part of that religion, regardless who they worshipped and how they worshipped and when they worshipped and what they worshipped, that goodness was a cornerstone of their faith. I don't see any faith out there that it's book of 700-800 pages about kill, 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 hate, 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 carry your guns and carry your flags and burn down black people's houses and white supremacy, or it's none of that stuff. It's not. But why do we have it in our world today? And so the question then becomes, the question is just that, how did this come about? And if you can understand how it came about, then inshallah we'll understand, God willing, how to change the status quo. Because I feel humanity is now giving into it. And we here at Raw Islam believe that we dictate the future as humans, not the future dictating us. And so your voices, your concerns are an important part of steering that ship of the future. So thank you all for engaging. I love it. Austin, nice to hear from you. And thank you for joining the show. We hope to see you and hear from you continuously, as this is all of your show, as we are here to host this platform for you all to have your voice. Back to you, Carl.
Well, I don't know if you in particularly know Austin the Kangaroo, or if he has just joined us, but I know my initial response to the screen name is I'd like to know if you're actually from Australia, because I would like to know how things are down there, because all of a sudden we're talking, like I said, like we opened the show, we're talking about guys wandering through the streets with military rifles and impeachment of presidents, and all of a sudden Australia being on fire seems to have fallen by the wayside. And I'm sure there are people that need help there. And the other thing that we're not talking about, speaking of helping our neighbors, is Puerto Rico. No, is that right?
Puerto Rico, yes.
Yes.
Earthquake?
Yeah, but it wasn't like an earthquake. Like they had like a 7 point something earthquake or 6 something earthquake, and they had these little aftershocks, and then they had another 6 something earthquake, and it was like, well, I don't know what's going on down there, but I really hope that people are safe and people are prepared for it. And because again, let's talk about something else, and these things fall by the wayside, and something like that there really shouldn't be, because I mean I know one story that I saw, which it doesn't really talk about humanity at all, but it shows the devastation, is there's a very famous natural arch that was worn in the water in Puerto Rico, and I think it's been like 3 earthquakes. I think it was the second one that archway collapsed. And so that's how bad and how devastating these things are. So it's something we should talk about, and we should keep them in our prayers, and we should try to help them still, because just because there's a lot of talking heads on your TV and radio doesn't mean that those people still are not in need. And with that, I will toss it back for tonight's final thought.
Well, thank you, everyone. This was just the beginning of a discussion. And as we always say in our episodes, if not every night, every so often, that we are here to facilitate in Raw Islam a discussion that begins. We are not experts on every field that you all select based on current events, but we believe we all can talk and we can take these conversations further. There's a reason why these digital platforms are being utilized, so that this voice reaches as far as it can go and as long as it can go. But until then, what role do you play in tonight's topic, which is what's the deal with hate? How are you ready to confront and combat hate, which you see existing within the parameters of your friends, families, communities, faith, city, state, nation, and world? At the end of the day, none of us can say that this isn't our responsibility, for each one of us should by now acknowledge this is our responsibility. So thank you for engaging. Thank you for answering the poll on a weekly basis. Thank you for patiently waiting as we adjust to these new technology updates, and know that your voice is the most important voice here on Raw Islam. Back to you, Carl.
Yes, and I will take responsibility for us being late tonight, because for whatever reason, this update they did to YouTube is like killing me, and I'm getting it figured out little by little. So, but that's why we were like 10 minutes late tonight. Just to finish out our chat room over here, blah blah blah. Sunshine says, will agree to disagree. Having friends that are atheists and raised as such, with moral codes that are more decent and generous to their fellow man than so-called Christians marching with swastikas, etc. But that's what I was talking about earlier, is these people that say we're Christians. Yeah, no, you're not. You don't know what you're talking about. Not you, but the Christians that say they're Christians and walk around with a swastika. They don't know what they're talking about. They're not real Christians. They've bastardized their faith. And then Sunshine also said, did you see the news regarding the protests when the citizens of Puerto Rico found the stash of unused aid?
Sad, very sad.
I've seen photos of unused aid, but I did not hear about the protests. I have to go Google something.
Mm-hmm. It was very sad. Very sad.
And she says, thank you guys for your tonight. Thank you, Sunshine. Thank you, Sister Layla. And thank you, Austin the Kangaroo. Thank you all for joining us this evening. And I feel like there were some other people on Periscope and YouTube that were probably a little quiet, but that's okay. Thank you guys for joining us. As you can see, we do read these comments live while we're doing this so that we can, stimulate the conversation and help it grow further. If you'd like to know more about the show and some of the other shows on the network, head over to vennetwork.org, where you can find these shows, and make sure you like, subscribe, and share these videos. And I can see this is one of those views within technology where it's like I can see how many people are watching, but I don't see any likes. I'm at 0 still. Because by liking the videos, it helps the algorithm share it with people. So if you're interested, you could click the like button. That would be cool. But make sure you share. Make sure you take part in our polls. Retweet those. There are some new designs coming with our new logo to the store for the swag, but you can go over and get the classic because that's what I'm going to label them as, the classic. You can get those at vennetwork.org by clicking the little swag tag. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, we will say Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.